Hello everyone, this is Dr. Kother coming to you from Muscat, Oman. Today we're going to talk about learning difficulties versus learning disabilities. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to my channel to learn more about children with difficulties and disabilities. The major difference between a learning disability and a learning difficulty is their effect on the child or individual. A learning disability usually refers to a condition that has an effect on a person's capacity to learn and their intelligence across each and every area of life. However, a learning difficulty is a condition that hinders a specific form of learning, and it's a condition that has no influence on the overall intelligence of an individual. Learning disabilities are specific, serious, and ongoing problems with reading, writing, mathematics, and cognitive abilities and intelligence. In a learning difficulty, a child may have a specific difficulty with reading, writing, or mathematics, or a combination, but it doesn't affect their cognitive abilities or intelligence. Dyslexia and dysgraphia would be examples of a learning difficulty. Learning difficulties and early signs of learning disabilities are often picked up in the first 2 years of school, when children start classroom-based learning in reading, writing, and mathematics. If your school-age child has learning difficulties or a learning disability, you might notice that they dislike reading, writing, mathematics, or find reading, writing, and mathematics hard. They have lots of trouble spelling common words using rhyming words or counting. They find it hard to spot the sounds and syllables in words, for example, the N sound in money. They find it hard to link numbers to associated words, for example, 5 and the word five, F-I-V-E. They don't feel confident about schoolwork. If your child has early learning difficulties, it doesn't automatically mean that they have a learning disability. Some children take longer than others to develop literacy and numeracy skills, or there might be other things that make it harder for children to learn. For example, they've missed lots of school, or they have hearing and vision problems. If you think your child is having early difficulties with reading, writing, and mathematics, it's important to get these problems checked out as soon as possible. There are several things that you can do. First, you can talk to your child's teacher. Make an appointment with your child's teacher. You can talk with the teacher anytime. You don't need to wait until a parent-teacher conference. When you talk with the teacher, you can ask whether your child's progressing as expected with reading, writing, and mathematics, how your child is generally doing at school. That is, do they seem happy, confident, and engaged? The teacher or support staff can usually assess your child for difficulties with reading, writing, and mathematics and go through the results with you. This can help you see whether there's a problem. Secondly, see your GP. Make an appointment to see your GP as soon as possible. Your GP might refer you to another health professional, like a pediatrician, psychologist, speech pathologist, or audiologist for further assessments and tests. These professionals can help you work out whether there are other things that are making it hard for your child to learn. For example, problem with sight, hearing, language development, or attention and focus. The next thing you can do is ask about school-based skills programs. If your child is identified as being behind in their reading, writing, or mathematics, talk to your child's teacher about additional literacy and numeracy programs at school. These programs might include one-to-one or small group work with a learning support teacher. This kind of support can help your child learn concepts and practice skills at a pace that suits them. If there is not a school-based program at your child's school, you may find private centers in your community that are doing these types of programs. Finally, you can ask for a formal assessment for learning disabilities. If your child has done additional programs at school or private centers, but still seems to be struggling with reading, writing, or mathematics, you can ask the school to refer your child for a formal assessment for learning disabilities to a psychologist or pediatrician. If your child is diagnosed with a learning disability, it's important to get support for your child as soon as possible. Usually you can find private centers offering support services for children with learning disabilities in your community. With this support, your child can improve their skills and start making good progress with their learning. This will help your child stay engaged in their learning environment at school. The best support for your child will depend on their learning disability. You can talk to your child's teacher or other professionals working with your child to find out what will work best for your child and your family. At school, support accommodations might include more intensive or frequent work with a learning support teacher to support your child's individual needs. Changes to the learning environment. For example, your child might learn better if they sit closer to the front of the classroom and away from distractions. Changes to the learning and assessment activities. For example, your child might be able to have extra time to do assessment tasks or exams. Assistive technology. There are many devices and software that can make things easier for your child by turning text into speech, checking spelling, predicting words, presenting information visually, and so on. Outside school, you can look into support like special educational specialists and centers that can support your child in the specific areas of difficulty. It's also a good idea to ask your child's teacher and other professionals what you can do to support your child's learning. For example, the teacher or other professionals can probably suggest books that suit your child's reading ability or give you tips to read with your child. Or there might be literacy and mathematics software programs or apps that can reinforce what your child is learning at school. Your child might have difficulties like ADHD or language problems, which are contributing to their learning disability. If so, there are professionals that can work with you and your child on a plan to address these difficulties too. As a parent, it's important to support your child whether they have a learning difficulty or a learning disability in a positive way. When your child feels good about themselves, they'll be better able to deal with learning and other challenges. Here are some ideas to help with this. Explain to your child that having a learning disability doesn't mean they're not as smart as other children. Your child's psychologist or speech therapist can suggest ways of explaining your child's learning disability in a way that your child can understand. Always praise your child for trying something that might be difficult for them and sticking with tasks like homework. Celebrate the non-academic things your child is good at. These might be sports, music, or drama, or your child might be kind and friendly, or great at cooking, or so on. Help your child to challenge negative thoughts. For example, you can say, "Don't let what happened today get you down. Think about how much you've improved this year. You might just need a little bit more time and practice to get this right." Encourage your child to work out what they need to get over difficulties. For example, do written instructions and diagrams help? Do they prefer spoken instructions? And make sure your child knows that it is okay to ask for help if they need it. Use calming down strategies for children and teenagers to deal with strong emotions like frustration, anger, and embarrassment. We don't yet fully understand what causes learning disabilities. It's likely that the causes vary amongst children. Some learning disabilities might happen because parts of a child's brain may have difficulty processing information. Remember, if you feel that your child is struggling at school, reach out to a professional that can help and assist your child as soon as possible.